Hey guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome. What we do here is do camera reviews, tech reviews related to film, and anything in between. But today I have something really interesting to talk about. It's something I haven't really touched on in quite a while, and I was pleasantly surprised. So let's get into it. So ZHIYUN sent me this gimbal to review, but I have complete autonomy to say whatever I want about this product. I had a chance to use it and I was pleasantly surprised. Now, no product is perfect, but this product for me changed my mind about maybe using a gimbal system again. So over the years, I've used many stabilizers for different types of shoots. Some are really expensive and take a lot to build out and prep for, something like a Dana dolly or big sliders. We've used shorter sliders that were inexpensive, a little bit easier to pack, and then we used gimbals. So gimbals can be very specific depending on the shots that you're looking for, but if they pack light and they're gonna give me the same exact shot than something like a big dolly system would give me, I tend to go with that gimbal system. Now, I've been using gimbals since the Ronin M, which was a great gimbal and had some really, big handles to kind of grab onto. And it was nice, but, after, 10 minutes of use, I was destroyed. Gimbals started getting a little bit lighter, and, they're still heavy depending on the type of cameras that you use. So now with all these new cameras shooting 10-bit, I'd much rather take a smaller camera and a smaller gimbal setup and be all set to go. When I first opened the gimbal, I said to myself, is this a gimbal for a phone or is this for a camera? So I was pleasantly surprised that it handled the FX3 with a full cage and the NATO rail and ND filter and a 24-70 lens, handled it superbly. So if we really look at gimbals in general, I've always used gimbals and like to use wide lenses. Why? It accentuates the motion and it makes sense to me. I typically don't use long lenses on gimbals. Never understood why you would use that, but some people do. I specifically use wider lenses. Anything that's from a 16 to about a 28 would be good enough for me, and that's what I like to use. But my worry was, will this FX3 work on this gimbal? Is it easy to adjust? Does it do exactly what I needed to do? And I have to be honest, it was really easy to put together. With the app, you can connect directly to the phone and use the record function on this via Bluetooth, no cables, didn't have a problem pairing it. So it made it quite simple. So I want to break down this gimbal just as, as basic as can be. It came probably about 80% charged already. I charged it up. And again, it's a typical gimbal. You know how gimbals work. But if you're only getting the gimbal, then what you'll get is you're going to get just this piece here. And then you're going to get this bottom to be able to mount it. You're not going to get the handle and you're not going to get this hand rest. But this thing on its own, holding it together, is fairly light. But I have to say, I do recommend getting this. It helps a lot with the pressure, and as you're holding it, it feels like nothing. As far as this handle goes, I'll show you exactly all that works. Let me hook up the camera and show you how everything kind of works and plays together. After just balancing the camera, getting it the way that I need to do, what I'm gonna do is just put on the power button and make sure that everything is good to go. Let's put on the power button. Little screen comes up on the back, which is really nice. So you've got, a visual of everything on. And just like that, it's on. In the app, you can adjust the strength of the motors. You can calibrate, you can do whatever you want. But as you can see, it's already on, not a problem, and it is flawless. As far as holding it, super duper light. Compared to other gimbals I've used in the past, this feels like $1 million. It makes me want to use this gimbal. Now, here's where the hand rest really comes into play. So you can adjust this to kind of go a little bit higher and adjust it to where you want your kind of hand to lean. Now, if you're holding it like this, you may want it higher. If you're going more of a briefcase style, this is where this handle comes in. So if you just unscrew this a little bit, you can pull this up, and then I'll show you what that looks like when you put it in like a sling mode. Easy. So that puts it in sling mode, or you can take this off completely if you don't want to use it. But I highly, highly recommend getting this as part of it. Now you have a little bit of a joystick here. You can control the camera through the remote button here and record, so you don't need to touch the camera once it's set up. So the exciting features of the Weebill 3E for me is the weight. One, it makes it a joy to use. This is the reason why a lot of people, I think, buy gimbals, and after a while they stop using them. So unless you kind of build them up and have really a way to balance them, they're really heavy. For mirrorless cameras though, you don't need that heavy of a gimbal, and the motors have gotten really good over the years. Having this really small form factor made it a joy to shoot with. Is it stable? 100%. It's better than most gimbals I've used in the last 4 years. It gives me everything I need. So if you're familiar with any of the ZHIYUN products and you've owned, let's say, the Crane S, I've owned that for many years, and that's a great gimbal for a much larger camera. Something like the Pixis or a Red Komodo or something like that would be great for that gimbal, because there's a lot of weight and you're going to be using cine glass and follow focus systems and everything else. But with mirrorless cameras having such great autofocus, for me, it's really about putting on a wide lens and making sure that my autofocus features are working properly. I don't even think about using a monitor with this, because I can frame my shot, practice the move, and just move on. It fairly is easy to do that, and you can use the screen on the back of your camera if you really want to kind of just compose it, but your autofocus should work fairly well. So we'll keep this completely light. Now, if you wanted to mount a monitor, you probably can mount a light monitor on the back of this handle, which I think is fine. I wouldn't put any heavy monitors on it. But if you're looking for kind of a run and gun, really easy to use gimbal that's light enough to hold an FX3 or an FX30, but this size format, I think you'll be fine. It's really a nice gimbal for what it is, and the price is great. Let's talk about the details of this gimbal. This way you understand what you're getting in the box and all the functionalities that come along with that. Let's take a look at the basic benefits I think this gimbal has to offer. One, it's ultralight, it's compact, it has that Bluetooth shutter, so wireless. Integrated OLED display, which is really nice. You can see all your modes. It's got great menu system here that you can adjust some of your modes in here and also customize the function buttons. Okay, so let's move on to some runtime. So they stayed here. The runtime is about 16 hours. I've used it all day and there's still a lot of battery left. Let's talk a little bit about what's in the box. So you will get the Weebill 3E gimbal. You'll get the quick release plate. You will get the tripod, which is going to help you obviously to leave it on a stand when you're putting it down. Your 2 cables that I mentioned before. It covers a lot of bodies, from small bodies, mirrorless, to the larger ones. Obviously the FX3 for Nikon, it's saying even a D850, which is a pretty heavy camera, I would say. And then you've got Canon, it goes through any of the kind of bigger bodies, the R5, R6, R7, R8, R10. So the CINEPEER Weebill 3E is coming in at around $249 as of today. So if you wanted to add the handle and the hand rest, the Weebill 3S, or for the 3E, the MasterMove, that is $139 additionally to the price I mentioned before. Again, I highly recommend it. It makes shooting with this thing really a breeze. So who do I recommend this gimbal for? If you are using a small mirrorless camera like an FX30 or an FX3, whether it's for wedding, whether it's for sports, anything like that where you're gonna have to pack light, or even use it in production to get specific shots that maybe you don't have access to or time to set up a dolly system and everything else, this would be ideal for something like that. For me, the fact that it's so small and easy and compact, that makes it exciting for me to use. The bigger that these things become, the less I tend to use them. But because it's so light, because it's so small, because it's so easy to set up, I think it's a win. It always comes down to that portability. The smaller it is, the more you can pack it and go, especially if you're kind of a smaller team. this is easy. So you've got a gimbal, an FX3 in here, lens. All you have to do is take it out and shoot. So I could put a drone in here still. I have a lot of room to fit other things, batteries, and whatever else I need to bring, as opposed to having a much larger gimbal that needs a lot more space. So I think that's a plus for most people and why they would use their gimbal more so than leaving it at home, because there's just too much to pack. Now the Weebill 3E has another trick up its sleeve. So if you are a content creator and you're using a lot of vertical video for social, this is going to be really easy. You can set this up vertically without having to take the bottom plate off. It's just a matter of twisting it, sliding it in, and then you're good to go. So you can shoot vertical without a problem. There's a lot of clearance there, and you can see, I'll bring this over, you can still do briefcase mode, not a problem, all in vertical. So this gives you that opportunity to have this kind of set up for your vertical. So if you're shooting everything in a horizontal format and just have this rigged out, ready to go just to do some backup vertical versions, I think for content creators, this is a must. Now, technically, could I, turn this or flip it or do it sideways when I have it horizontal? Kind of, but it's not the same because now I need to balance this out. This is set up just like you should. So if you wanted to go and balance back out, you double click and then you're back where you need to be. And I'll show you some examples of footage shot vertically and horizontally, and you be the judge. It's just really easy to use. Again, it's a very, very lightweight, portable gimbal. And if you've shied away from using gimbals in the past just because of the weight issues, same for me. If I'm not using a really heavy camera, I kind of tended to shy away from having that weight all day, and it starts killing my arms and back. This does not feel that way. So I can easily tell you can shoot with this 30 to 40 minutes, an hour even, without feeling that pressure on your arm and your back. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about the Weebill 3E, please let me know, leave them in the comments, and I will try to answer those questions as soon as I can. I will leave a link below. And again, appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one.